This JTV News update is brought to you by Nagico Insurance, the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Eureka Medical Center, Colonial Insurance, and Flow. Today, March 19, a significant day here in the British Virgin Islands simply because of the much anticipated reading of the Government of the Virgin Islands budget address for 2018 titled Resilience Beyond Recovery. Now, excerpts of that budget reading from our Premier, Dr. the Honorable D. Orlando Smith.
Lofty GDP numbers nearing $1 billion do not necessarily speak to the reality of people's lives. I know that people are hurting. My government has and continues to be committed to improving our economic prospects and to improving the standard of living for all of the Virgin Islands. Madam Speaker, in 2017, government revenue totaled approximately $292.9 million. This was $30.2 million less than the $321.1 million budgeted for the year. This means that even with revenue from financial services performing well above expectations, we brought in $30 million or 9.3% less than was budgeted. This demonstrates the significant impact of the storms in the months following their landing. Our efforts to assist our people in rebuilding and piecing together our lives resulted in a 34.7% or $16.5 million negative variance in collected taxes on international trade, including customs duties. But, Madam Speaker, it was the right thing to do. And we expect that we build homes, businesses, and lives. We will have increased revenue in the future. Madam Speaker, additional borrowing will be necessary as we finance our recovery and development in the coming months and years. We must ensure, though, that any new borrowing is done responsibly, that the use of the debt incurred is done in a manner that is efficient and provides the highest possible value for money in its use. Madam Speaker, it is important for me to point out that it is unacceptable in the face of the challenges that lie before us that we facilitate any mechanism that does not allow us to take on additional debt at the lowest possible costs. Through our fiscal strategy this year, we are expecting $29.6 million in additional revenue. This additional money for our operations is anticipated from the already implemented increase in financial services fees. With this additional revenue, our total revenue budget is $299,526,366. Madam Speaker, on the expenditure side of our public sector transformation process, is aimed at containing the operational costs of the public service while moving towards improved efficiency and effectiveness. We envision putting downward pressure on the cost of procuring goods and services, including rent, consultancies, and assets like furniture and vehicles. We will accomplish this through better contract negotiations and the procurement processes. Madam Speaker, it is imperative now more than ever that we receive value for money for the people of this territory, especially as we borrow in our collective names and on our children's future. Total recurrent expenditure is budgeted at $335,391,200. As a government, for the people and by the people, my colleagues and I are constrained to deliver a complex suite of interventions to restore and progress the BVI beyond this pre-recovery status in order to protect our people and the future generations for decades to come. I will go further, Madam Speaker. These interventions go beyond the resources, and so even as we welcome the UK guarantee and the significant amount of money is available through donations from the international community, we must put in place a structure for the management of these funds that would assure, first, the people of our community the guarantor of the United Kingdom, importantly the international donor community and your legislators, that these monies will be used for the purposes intended and approved by this House of Assembly, and will uphold the principles of fairness, transparency, and efficiency at all costs. The mechanism which has been proven globally to do this in the best manner is an independent recovery and development agency. We have proceeded along these lines, Madam Speaker, despite the misinformation that has been conjured up to prevent its formation. To act otherwise, Madam Speaker, will compromise the current way of life we all enjoy, including that of the very people who oppose, but even more importantly, we must improve the lives of the people of the BVI who depend on us to do right by them. Madam Speaker, on this issue, I must stand as an experienced political leader and a matter of principle for all the citizens and residents of the BVI now and for generations yet unborn. Allow me, Madam Speaker, to make a few straightforward points about this agency. It will deliver recovery and development at a pace that facilitates rapid economic and social redevelopment for the people of the BVI. It will enable access to investment and funding from the United Kingdom, public, private, corporate, and philanthropic sources. It will enhance the core capacity and capability to deliver recovery and development quickly, whilst enabling ministries to deliver their core services. It will ensure transparent dialogue among the government of Virgin Islands, Recovery Development Agency, and stakeholders, while sustaining the government of the Virgin Islands' ownership and oversight of recovery and development process. And legislators will provide for the agency to have a finite life and be accountable to the House of Assembly through the Cabinet. There's a lot of unhelpful chatter in circulation about the agency being a government within a government. This is patently false, Madam Speaker. It is difficult to understand the basis for this noise. Firstly, the Cabinet of the Virgin Islands must approve the agency and set its terms of reference and modus operandi. Secondly, we as members of the House of Assembly will create the necessary legislation to establish the agency to serve the people. Thirdly, we as members of the House of Assembly will set the framework within which the agency operates. Fourthly, we the House of Assembly will give the agency its vision, strategy, and plan. And fifthly, the agency is accountable to this House. In short, Madam Speaker, it is ours.
So following the reading of the budget, we sought the views of members of the House of Assembly and the persons also who were present to listen to this year's budget reading.
As expected, you have challenging days ahead. And it's clear that we have to find how to work together to get this done, because most of what I'm hearing is that we're going to try to find a lot of loans to get us out of what we're in. And we need some of the loans, but I think that the approach, the foundation of this approach, I keep saying, is flawed. I think that the people of the territory have not received the best that they could receive in representation, because the government is compromised. The government cannot negotiate for us from a position of strength because of their poor financial record. This is not to say that the challenges from the storm are not real, and you don't blame them for those, but because of where we were before, has speed up a lot of what sanctions are being brought against us that they are avoiding to say. But it's obvious that there are a lot of terms and conditions attached to this government to bring transparency and accountability. Let's face the fact, most of what is being put in place is being put in place with the agency and the board to bring accountability and transparency. But that's what the protocols for effective financial management was signed in 2012 to do. That is what the Financial Management Regulations was put in place to do, and the Financial Management Act was put in place to do. So it is clear if another agency or board is being put in place, and no offense to the UK, they're doing what they have to do, but it's clear if this is being put in place and all these loans are going to be sought and not handled by the government, then it's clear that they do not trust them with the money. From their past record, you have so much money. When I calculated it over the years or the 5 years of this government, you have close to $200 million unanswered for.
Deputy Governor, your thoughts on the budget reading of today?
Well, I thought the budget reading was very direct. It focused on the recovery of the Virgin Islands after the hurricanes Irma and Maria. It focused on not just a new beginning for the territory, but also on critical things to get us back up and running and to create a brighter future for the Virgin Islands.
Quite a lot of it spoke of our position where we have to go into borrowings. How do you stand on this?
Well, naturally, that's not my space for final comments. However, whatever it takes to ensure our territory is back up and running. As you know, my role and my responsibility is to look after the recovery from the public sector side, ensure that our services or programs are up to par and we're serving our clients with dignity, passion, and pace.
Honorable Dolores Christopher, we've heard the Premier deliver the budget for 2018. We know that's just the first phase of it. The next stage is for the debate. Tell me, what do you anticipate when that time comes?
Well, I believe that all members, it's a time that all members look forward to air their views and make their input on the debate. So usually we break now, go to standing finance, and come back for the debate before the budget is passed. As you observed this morning, there's a little uncertainty as to what rule we are really following this morning. And up to now, I am not very clear as to what our next steps are. But I'm sure that at some point we must be in debate mode on debate and that on the budget. And I'm already preparing, especially as it pertains to the agency. And you heard the Premier mention it this morning about the agency that will manage all the affairs and the financial affairs. And he tried to put it over quite smoothly as he can, but we have a lot of concerns about it. And something was said about it being ours, we crafted it kind of story. As far as I know, we are not finished with it. It isn't anything that we had an input in from the beginning, but we are going through it and we have numerous questions and we will voice our numerous concerns. As a matter of fact, we intend to file some with him. So I'm sure you'll hear much more about it.
Well, I thought that the budget address was a very detailed budget address, especially when you take into consideration coming through three major storms, the floods and the two Category 5 hurricane. We're not looking at a typical budget presentation, and so I believe that the debate will be a very robust and detailed debate because there are many things that we have to consider in relation to our recovery and our development. I think one of the things that people will be concerned about, which will come out in the debate and obviously down the road, is exactly how the recovery and the development process will take place as it relates to the agency and the functions of the agency. And I think once we as legislators are satisfied that the agency works based on the Constitution as it relates to our elected members, in particular the ministers of government, that we shouldn't have any problems.
Honorable Christian, you alluded to the conditions that you're looking forward to as it relates to the UK guarantees loan. Mm-hmm. It's no secret that you would have been able to peruse whatever documents. Correct
Yes.
me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
How do you see it playing out at this stage?
At this current time?
Yes.
At this current time, I'm not totally happy with the way the agency is proposing legislation. So we are going through the process of ensuring that we come up with something that satisfies us here and at the same time satisfies the UK. Because I'm not under any illusion. I understand that we have to borrow money. I understand that the conditions under which we borrow money is a guarantee by the UK government. But we also need the UK to understand that these are not normal times and that there are certain conditions under which we operate that we need to ensure that the power that is vested through elected members is not eroded by an agency.
Okay. And should the UK not wanting to bow, what is the other option do you see available to this government to take this recovery process forward?
Right. I think my other option is that we have to go back and look at sources of local financing, including the Social Security Board. We have to revisit the MTFP and the protocols for effective financing that we signed years ago, and see if we can come up with something, a proposal that can counter the agency if the UK does not accept our bill when we represent it to the House for the agency to be able to function in accordance with the constitution of the BVI. None of us inside, none of the 13 members are opposed to any agency that allows for transparency and for good accountability of the funds. The funds that we are trying to borrow and the donations that will be made to the government are funds that we have to account for properly and in a transparent manner. So I don't think there is any hesitation by any member that we need a structure in place that would guarantee that those things take place. What we want to make sure is that the agency is not operating as if it's a government unto itself. It should be held accountable to the elected members of the House of Assembly. And to me, that's clear and very simple.
I'm kind of surprised that he had a budget to present after all that we've gone through. I heard the figures. The figures are impressive, but I'm still trying to figure within my mind as to how he's going to make it with all the revenue shortfalls that we are expecting. Customs duty exemption from building materials, customs duty exemption from automobile, and still having a budget of that magnitude. I'm skeptical. I heard about makeups from loans and grants, but you know how grants go. They are promises, long on promises and short on delivery. I noticed that he took the opportunity to make a plug for this Investment Development Agency board, which is something that everyone in Tortola knows my position on. It's a no-no as far as I'm concerned. It's a non-starter. He tried to inject some virtues in it, but there are none. And if this territory knows what's best for it, they will follow our position on it and tell the Premier and the other representatives in the districts that this Investment Development Agency board is not good for the territory. International borrowing has never been good because of the strict rules and guidelines that they impose upon us. We're not in a position to sustain. I told the Premier, and I'm telling everyone that's listening, that we have options. Our options are to borrow locally. If we borrow money from the Social Security Board and local institutions, we're in a better position and we won't be beholden to the British government for the next 20 years.
Okay.
He make reference to high unemployment and places for people to live. The Premier must know that he needs to come and tell me, the rest of us, who the people are that are homeless and who the people are that are jobless. And from that you can make a determination. My major issue with this massive influx of capital or cash in the country in this short period of time is that no one can tell me where is the money going. Once the money gets into the territory, yes, they will be spending the money and the money will be disappearing. I'm not talking about in a form of corruption. I'm talking about in the economy, disappearing from the economy. And that's what we have to be careful about. We want to rebuild the Virgin Islands, of course, but we want to build the people as well. Building the Virgin Islands, and when you look around, the people are not built. To gain nothing from it, it's not good for me, it's not good for the future generations.
You've heard the Premier present the budget for 2018. What are your thoughts at this moment?
Well, my initial thought is a perfunctory duty in the presentation of the budget. I will have to personally drill down, look at the numbers, and see how the math works. It concerns me, though, however, that the lending and the construct of the agency is all a part of the budget, which raises the question to what the leader of the opposition was trying to raise. Does this mean that the matter is closed, in fact, in law, and is with the standing finance and the debate again merely be routine or symbolic, but not substantive? Because in essence, according to the law, the second and third reading, I mean, it's passed in essence. So that raises a question and should be a concern to the people. But I'll be able to give more substantive comment as I can drill down on the figures in particular.
Eager, as always, to speak on matters of country. Mrs. Smith, Premier, your husband, the man ahead of this country, just read the national budget for 2018. What are your thoughts?
I was very, very proud of what he said. He himself said it was a challenging and the most difficult budget, and I agree with him. But then the Premier spoke for a full hour, and he very clearly laid out what he is going to do and what we are going to do as a people together. One of the most important things for me was that he said we cannot continue to be this bombed out shell of a BVI, and we have to move forward, and we have to move forward now. And he clearly set out how we're going to move forward. I was also impressed with the vision, and he sort of broke it down into two different parts, the first 5 years and the second 5 years. And in both instances, it involves the people of the BVI pulling themselves up by the bootstraps, so to speak, and moving forward. He also acknowledged the support and assistance that we've gotten from everybody globally, the UK and all the various agencies and so on. And I am also thankful, and I'm also thankful that the BVI is on the road to recovery.
Now, before the budget can be passed, it must be debated in the House of Assembly. So stay tuned for the debate phase of the budget 2018 for the British Virgin Islands. With this JTV News Update, I'm Kathy Richards.
When it comes to your health, being uninsured is never an option. Listen to some sound advice. Nagico's NagiCare is one of the best medical insurance plans your money can buy. We offer you solutions to medical coverage benefits tailor-made to your budget and preferences, so that the next time you visit a doctor, you can rest assured that we've got you covered. Visit our website, nagico.com, or contact a Nagico office or agent near you. Nagico Insurances. We've got you covered.
Here in the Virgin Islands, we are blessed to live and work in paradise. Paradise just doesn't mean our tranquil blue waters and green hills. National Bank of the Virgin Islands defines paradise as any place or condition that fulfills your aspirations.
To me, paradise means knowing that I will have a financing partner when I'm ready to open my first business.
I feel confident that I can manage whatever life throws my way because I know my bank will be with me every step of the way.
That's why I choose National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the official bank of paradise.
My future's looking so bright, 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 with the official bank of paradise, paradise.
National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the official bank of paradise.
If you're looking for extra savings and free benefits
with car insurance
and home insurance,
Colonial has just the cover you need.
there's a free $250 gift voucher for new home insurance customers too, and 10% car insurance discount if you have home insurance.
With a claim service that's quick and friendly.
We call it cover without added costs.
Call for a quote on 494-8450 or Virgin Gorda 495-6403 or visit cgigroup.com.
Colonial, where people come first.